Okay, hello everyone. I'm starting the stream. Alright, so like it said in the description, I'm going to be working on a millwork set today. I started working on it yesterday, and it is for a small cottage. Happens to be me and my partner's cottage. And I have two drawing sets here already. This one is for a little window bench, so I put in a viewport that has perspective. I've done a front elevation and a close-up detail. And I've done the same thing on the second page for an entry coat hanging bench. Same thing, perspective, elevation, detail. So I have two more areas to do this in, so we can do it together. I'm just going to quickly check all my OSB vitals. It sounds like my sound is on. I don't have a second screen today. I forgot to set up the tablet. But yeah, looks good. I might just check in every now and then with this. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to rename this page because it's not named correctly. So this is the entry bench of Bay Bench and the entry bench. And then I'm going to duplicate this page because I find that to be the easiest way to get a next page going, so I don't have to redo any of this stuff. So I'm going to duplicate, and the next thing I will be dimensioning is the kitchen. So I'll show you the file that this is all coming from. I have a few viewports set up. This is a little different than the way I conventionally do it because we started this file some time ago and I didn't realize that I'd be using it for interior drawings. But anyway, so I have a bunch of sections and perspectives set up, and the one that the kitchen is on, I think, is the northeast. That does not look like a kitchen. It's the section. Okay, so here we have the kitchen section. So it's northeast, and I do believe I also have a perspective set up. So these are the two scenes that I'll be looking for when I'm relinking some of the stuff. So I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to go to the scenes, and actually the first thing I'm going to do before I start working on it, so I don't confuse myself, is make sure that the SketchUp file that's linked to the layout is updated. Because if I don't do this, I'm going to wonder why things aren't being represented properly in layout, and I don't want that. So now, whatever viewports are in the entire file here should be up to date. So I'm going to go to the scene and I'm going to change the scene. And so what was I saying? It was the northeast. Oh yeah, okay. This model has a bajillion scenes. So you don't see it here because it's somewhere at the bottom. So when you have that many, it's better to use the default tray here. So I'm going to also make this smaller first off. I don't need it to be that wide. And I'm going to go to the northeast perspective. P stands for perspective. Okay, so the kitchen is a little wider than the rest, so I might have to break up this whole thing into 2 pages. I might actually end up just putting the perspective on the first page itself. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this kitchen. so that I can go into this page. I'm going to call this kitchen 2. And this can be kitchen 1. And then so in kitchen 1, I'm going to remove all this stuff. Kitchen 2, I'm going to remove the perspective. Double check here. Okay, so I have perspective on 1. I'm going to right click on it and say center horizontally on page, just so it looks nice. And I think that's all I will do. On the other pages, I don't think I had any notes going for the perspectives. No, I didn't. So I'm going to just keep that on its own. And I'll go to kitchen 2 and I will... This might actually get super messy. So what I'm going to do is copy this over here in case I want to borrow some of those dimensions. I probably won't end up doing it, but if I change the scene on this, it's going to really mess up all the dimensions and everything, so I will... Oops, I didn't need to get rid of that viewport. Just going to get rid of the dimensions and everything that might get really messed up when I change the viewport. So scenes, oh, I did it again. Okay, I'm going to use the scenes here. So I want the northeast section, and then I'm going to have to adjust my the clipping mask. So right here is the viewport bounds, but right here is my clipping mask. So when I click outside of this, it'll just go back to the clipping mask. So one thing I'm noticing here is that I don't see the full kitchen because my my section cut actually cuts a little too early, so I'm going to go in there and adjust that. So this is, I'm seeing this in the way and I don't want to, so I'm going to move and click on that section. I'm going to move it so that it's cutting through the door. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so I'll save that. Wait for it to be saved. Then go to layout. And then I don't need to update the entire drawing, just this one scene will do for now. Update model reference, and then this thing and this bench should disappear. It takes a few blip blop bloops here to do that. Okay, it's done it, and now I actually wanted to include the stairs too. I forgot. Sort of a complicated elevation. We have a little spiral staircase. Okay, when you see that things aren't snapping to something, I guess the first thing to do is to check that your grid snap is on, or object snap is on, which it is. So it might just be having a hard time finding things to snap to, so just go into your clipping mask itself and adjust it. And I don't want to show that high up, or do I? Yeah, no I don't. I want the viewport to end there. So that looks good to me. I'll just click outside of it. I have to escape and then click outside. Okay, so now we have just the kitchen layout with the pantry and the stairs. And this might be a bit confusing to look at, so if you're wondering, I'll just go to the model to explain what's happening. So we have a pantry that is angling into the stairs, and the stairs are spiraling upward. Okay, so I don't know what detail this will be yet, so I'm not going to touch that. And a few things that we added here just for our own purposes, but we don't I don't think I don't want to show them like this on the elevation, so I'm going to see if I put them on a tag of some kind, because that would have been smart, but it looks like I didn't. It's on just framing, which is obviously the wrong tag. I don't really have a tag for like 3D writing, so what I'm going to do instead is I'll go to this viewport. Actually, I'll go to, well, I'll do it in both, but I'll start here. So I'm just going to hide them. I'm going to leave these dishes here just because it helps the millworker to understand that this is an open shelf rather than something closed. So I'm going to, without zooming in or out, I'm going to update that scene. And it's not enough just to update it, you have to update and save for layout to know. So I'm going to do that once I have hid the 3D writing from the other scene. Okay, so now that one is good too. So update, and now I'm going to save. And I'm doing it with the Control S so you don't see me going up to it, but that's why I'm saying it out loud. The other weird thing here is that I have a bunch of like stuff floating around back here, so I'm going to also hide that. So I'll select it, then I'll go back to the perspective, and then I'll press H for hide, and then I will update. And I suppose another confusing thing, maybe part of the thing is that this is not really finished, so I'm just going to finish things up. That's what you discover when you go into layout. You think you're ready to go, and then there's actually some design that needs finishing. So this is all yellow for some reason. So I had V-Ray open earlier because I find it the easiest way to select everything of a certain color. So I'm going to go back to it, and I'm going to eyedrop that. And that's color HO1, so I'm going to say select objects and scene. And then all that is selected. And then I'm going to select this color. Except it's not selecting it. What is that color? Oh, it's selecting it here. Okay, I'm just going to say a white of some kind. Go back to that and say apply to selection. So everything that was that bluey color now is white. I'm going to do the same thing with this yellowish color. Color CO1. We'll say select objects and scene. And I'll go to this color and I'll say apply to selection. So everything that was yellowy now is white. So this is supposed to be a dishwasher. That's an oven. And the rest are drawers for doors, but I guess we've decided to do this as doors. But there's something, a door missing here, so I'm just going to add a panel, I guess. I think we had something specific in mind, like a like some shallow storage. So I'm not going to model anything special, but I will make a note of it in layout. So I don't necessarily have to do the spacing that I'm doing. I often leave spaces for things for renderings, but I will not be rendering this. If I do, I'm going to be doing a lot more work to it. So I guess the other thing is, I don't know if these are supposed to be touch latch drawers or pull drawers, because if they're pull drawers, they obviously need some hardware. So I'm going to say the touch latch for now. Keep them hardware free. Yeah, the other thing I'd have to do before I go into layout again is well, one, get the direction of this grain right. So I've just sampled the top grain there. I'm trying to apply it here, but it's not working. So I will right-click, texture, position, right-click on this, rotate 90 degrees, enter, and then I can do the paint dropper for the other side. Yeah, I don't have a faucet showing here, so that's wrong. I could grab a quick one from the warehouse or somewhere, but they're so easy to make that I will just make one now. I do this so that when I make the arch, I know that it's on the correct plane. If you're wondering what the heck I'm doing. Sometimes when you make an arch in 3D, you have no idea which plane it's actually catching. So I'm going to use that, and then my, where the heck is it? The tube maker, 1/2 inch diameter, sure. Okay, so, well, that looks puny, doesn't it? Undo. And say 1.25 inches. That looks a little more embarrassing as a faucet. Oops. Okay, I'm using Keurig Stretch at the moment. I'm just trying to make it look less weird. Okay, that's fine now for the purpose of this. Okay, so I'm going to hit save. And then I will go back to layout. And I'm going to Control D. I actually don't remember if Control D is a shortcut that I've set or if that's a default layout thing, but that takes me to my document setup, and I go here very often, as you are now seeing. So Control D, and then references, and update that SketchUp reference, and then it should take away all my text. It should remove the blue and the yellow. The other thing, okay, now I'm remembering that I believe that all the lowers here should be wood, as well as all this. So, okay, I'm gonna go back. So, if you're wondering about these black and white textures here, I actually do have them as like a actual wood texture that I can render with, and I just use material modes for that. So right now I have it in draft mode, so everything's black and white. But if I'm rendering or, with a client and they kind of understand color a bit better, then I will go into render mode, and that'll change anything that I've put in these settings. So I generally don't really have color going on in this model, other than really the wood. So it doesn't matter which one I'm in now, but just to make it a little easier for myself, I'm going to use the render mode just because it's super obvious when you have painted something. So I'm just clicking like mad, triple clicking so that I know I'm selecting all the objects I could. Well, it looks like I didn't select all of that one. I'll just, I went to isolate the objects just to make sure I've actually painted them properly. I'll do the kickboard as the wood as well, the side gables, and I don't know what that is. This is not the most complete Millwork package, but it's just for pricing for now, so I'm trying not to be too detailed about it. I'm going to move that up a little because it'll probably be on legs. And just for the sake of being understood, I do want to make this some kind of like a marble texture, so Let's see if I have anything in this model. If not, I'm going to create a new texture. And I'm going to call it marble. Actually, I'll just call it stone 1. And go into my materials library. So I do have one called stones, and that'll have, I'm just going to use like kind of a generic white Calcutta for now. And say okay. I'm also going to create another one that's the black and white draft version of this. So when I do these, I give it the same name as the original version, and then but then I say BW for black and white. And I may or may not have a good texture for this. I see I have some like weird looking marble, but let's go to draft mode and see what I've got there. Okay, this is the one I like to use for marbles. So that I made that using the other marble texture, just using like the same grain pattern. I'll say okay. And now I can plop them into here, so oh, actually that is incorrect. Let me go back and change this. So I'm going to go down to S because I named it stone 1. And then this one, it was just at the top there, I think, because it was the most recent one. Okay, so it's not showing up right now because I haven't actually painted it. So let's go to that texture. And then I'll paint this countertop with that. The scale is totally off, so it looks like it needs to be at least 5 times bigger. So I'll say 5 feet instead of 1 foot. It looks like it needs to be 2 times bigger than that. I'll say 10. Okay, that looks better. Great. Okay, so now this is supposed to be, oh yeah, this is a mini fridge. So just so that it can be understood, I'm going to put a handle on it. Don't know what spec it is, don't really know much about it, but I know that it probably will have a handle. Just gonna make it a more realistically sized handle. I don't really know how big fridge handles are, but that seems about right. Let's see what else. I could make these like a stainless steel texture or something, but I think that's alright. I'll be labeling them in layout anyway. And in case you're wondering, this is supposed to be an extraction hood vent. This is a little door, and this is a door and a door, and then the open shelf. So I'm going to label it as such in layout. See, this keyboard isn't going all the way to the end. I use Keurig stretch in these scenarios where so you select the component that you want to edit, and then you select the vertexes that will be edited. And that's if you don't want everything to disappear while you're editing something, because sometimes you need reference points. Okay, I'll attempt going into layout again. So I'm going to Control S for save. I'll just pop in here, see if there's been any questions. No questions. And that should be saved, so I'll go into layout. And oh wait, no, I made a mistake. I was supposed to go back into draft mode, so I'll open up my material nodes again, go into draft mode, and then you see the marbling has been achieved here. It's way tighter than I was expecting it to be, but I'm also going to change the direction of some of these. And apply it everywhere else. Let's see if that, yeah, I don't want my baseboard to have that. I don't actually know if you can see this from the elevation, but just in case, update that. That looks pretty good. This isn't too important for the millworker, but for the future I do want this to be an undermount sink, so I'm just going to tuck it there. So I'm going to double check this the right dimension too. Yeah, that's right. And I do want the stone to look like it's covering this. Also, this isn't entirely realistic because the stone will be a 3/4 inch depth, so what I'm going to do is just make another line halfway down, and then I made this a bit tricky for myself because I want the sink to come up there, and this is supposed to come to here, so it's gonna screw that up, but well, let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna cheat. Move that forward. Go into X-ray mode so I can see my reference points. And grab all that, move it forward, X-ray mode, lock my axis. I'll do the same with all of these. Get out of that, see if I did it correctly. Yeah, that one's still right. And then I could just push these back. Actually, you know what I'll do? This is smarter. I will grab all these edges. And I will offset this by, I don't know, some random amount. And then I will push bolts. There we go. Now we have what I wanted. I didn't even have to cheat. Okay, that looks good. I don't have a drain in here, so I'm going to do that just to get a quick center. I will make some X guides to the bottom. And then put a circle. I'm going to make it a 1.5 inch diameter. That looks pretty big. Let's make it 1 inch. 1 inch. Pull it down just to the bottom. Oh, this might not actually have any depth. Interesting. Okay, so in that case I'll just erase it. Erase, and yeah, good. Control D to clear all my guides. Okay, I think we might be ready for layout. Again, let's see. I guess one thing I haven't done is put the backsplash on here, but I don't think it's too important for the millworker, so... Oh, no, I just remembered one more thing. Okay. Let's get some wood on this pantry. And on the door as well. And is this supposed to go on the stairs too? Oh, okay. That was easy. Not all these are the right direction, but maybe that's okay for now. No, I'll change it. Why isn't the texture showing up? Okay, fine, I'll make it unique. I genuinely don't know why it does that. And I don't like doing it because it seems to mess with things. I can't even explain what at this time. Sometimes it does. Now I'm going to sample it and then see, actually this is what I mean. It messes things up. But I think it's fine for now. So I do want to get through this at some point. Okay, save. And then I will go to layout and Control D. It's going to update the whole thing. Ugh, okay, it looks like all my textures are there. Great, you see this angle has a shadow. Perfecto. Okay, well now I can start dimensioning. So let's see which scale this viewport is. It's at 1/2 inch, so I want to make sure that this is, okay, this is 1/2 inch here. I'm just gonna take a drop from it and make sure that when I'm dimensioning this, they are the correct dimensions. So the detail I think that I'll do here is probably of this corner here, just showing the thickness of the countertop and the gable. So I'm not gonna, and that kick plate, so I'm not gonna do it here, I'll just do the overall dimensions here. And obviously this is not 1 foot 1 inch, so this turned out not to be, oh, I just, oh, I never have it there. Anyway, okay, so now we've got it at a 1/2 inch scale. I've just sampled it and dimension the rest. And do the bottom spring. Here I guess it makes sense to do this gable width. And then I'll just go right along, double click and do a string of dimensions. I'm going to do them for all parts of this pantry door and then do the bigger dimension when I'm done. So right now, and then for any, I'm just going to get this out of the way for a second. So any overlaps like this, I'm just going to drag out here. This one feels like it could fit in here, so I'm going to try. I'm going to take away the leader. Oh, I know why this is all overlapping, because I sampled something that had a leader. And normally I use dimensions without leaders. And then I just put in a leader when it needs one. So I've taken off the leader there, and I'm going to sample this because I want to go no leader going forward. But since we have a bunch here, these did actually require a leader, so that's fine. This one, don't like the way it's justified, so just move that here in the text. Left justified. This one I would also like to have left justified. This seems to not be going to the right place. One of these, this one. Okay, so I'll line it up there. Same issue here. And why this is happening is because, as you saw, you may or may not have seen earlier, I do have gaps between my drawers and door faces in SketchUp because when I render them, I want that to be shown. But it does cause a bit of a problem with my layout dimensions later on, so I just try to do my best. That screws up my gable width a little bit, 1 5/8. So I know that there will be 2 points here, so I'm going to go with the inner point. Okay, that looks alright. Looks alright. So for this, I'm going to add a note here. Maybe I'll do it with a leader. Yeah, I'm just going to put it right off and say, take out bold, don't know what it's on it. Under counter bridge. Obviously this is way too big. I want this to be centered. I want it to be smaller. And I'm going to adjust the width. You see that red arrow in the corner there? It means that something's going to get cut off when you print it. It should cut it off for you here so that you know, but it just does it with the red arrow for some reason. Okay, so I'm going to copy this over, and this is an oven. And because there's no hardware here, it's not super clear what these are, so I'm just going to take the very simple route of just writing drawer. And then put a note elsewhere about them being touch latch. And maybe you're wondering whether why I didn't dimension the drawers. I guess I should. I thought they were all equally spaced before, but it doesn't look like they are. So well, you know, my detail might actually end up showing that, so maybe I don't have to. But my detail will be on this side over here, so I'm gonna move everything over. And on this detail here, I'll change the scene name. Whoop, yeah, gotta go up here, northeast section. And then I'll double click in here just to reorient this. So my viewport is showing not much. I guess it's smaller before. So that's all I really needed to show there. And then I'm going to move my clipping mask to where I want it to be. I don't really need it to show the window frame, so I'm just gonna adjust. Okay, and I'm going to stop there for today, as it's 1 o'clock. It has been a pleasure.